Okay, I'd like to end the series, of course, with with 6 things to remember when asking a question to a Rav. Okay, you already have your Rav, right? Or you want to make this person your Rav because you heard great things about him. You see that there's potential here. So remember the following 6 things. Number 1, if you are not ready to hear or follow the opinion of the Rav, better don't ask. Okay, this is extremely important. And I've had students who have said to me on many occasions, right, Rabbi Shurin, I'm not asking you for a psak halacha, I just want to discuss it with you, right, because they were very afraid of what I would say, and I understand them perfectly. You know, there are Rabbanim who are going to say, well, if you don't just want to discuss it, I'm not interested, right? If you want to hear my psak, I am interested. But sometimes you can get a Rav that will say, and I've heard this on many occasions, go ask somebody else. He knows what you're driving at. He knows if he gives you a psak, you're going to have to follow it, like we said in the previous session, right? So he's going to say to you, go ask somebody else. In one case, I asked Shlomo Zalman a question with a woman from Dresha Rachel many, many years ago, and he said, look, I don't have the places, he was speaking in Yiddish to me, I don't have the shoulders to make it completely mutter. Go ask somebody else. And by the way, he told me where to go to ask that other rabbi. At the end, this woman chose to go to a third rabbi, actually. But the point over here is that good rabbis are sensitive. They know what you need, and if they can't give you a heter, they'll tell you to ask somebody else. Some cases, they'll feel that you shouldn't get a heter, and they'll actually paskin it. But in any case, right, you should not ask a question you're not ready to hear an answer for. I just tell you like sort of a semi-humorous story. It was really a serious story, actually. I had a student many years ago that had an Italian father, and the father passed away, and I didn't know about it. Only when he came back from America did he get in touch with me and let me know that his father passed away. It was probably 2 or 3 months later, and I asked him why he didn't tell me right away. So he says, well, if I would have called you and asked you, Rabbi Shurin, can I eulogize my father in a church? Because that's where they had the funeral. What would you have said? I would have said, it's asur. He says, that's why I didn't tell you, right? He wasn't ready to hear the answer, and I understand perfectly why. And that's why he didn't ask me. I want to tell you, this is really based on a Gemara. Reb Zera, it says in Gemara in Ksuvas, didn't want to talk to his rabbi about moving to Eretz Yisrael because his rabbi, Rabbi Yehuda, held that you're not allowed to go to Eretz Yisrael from Bavel. So it says in the Gemara, he avoided speaking to his rabbi. And it's interesting, he avoided, and he actually went to Eretz Yisrael because he was afraid if he speaks to the rabbi would decree that he can't go to Eretz Yisrael, and maybe he'd have to listen. And therefore, he avoided the rabbi the whole time. Just to add to that, there's a very, Rabbi Shalom Gold tells a very beautiful story about himself. He should, Aflanga Yaron, he should have many years on Ne'ev Esrim. He was a rabbi in Har Nof. Today he's retired. He said before he made Aliyah to Israel, he wrote the Lubavitcher Rebbe and he asked him for a bracha. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe refused to give him a bracha because he said they need you in America. So he went to my grandfather Rabbi Yaakov, and he said to Rabbi Yaakov, he doesn't want to give me a bracha. He doesn't want me to leave America. And Rabbi Yaakov, spoke to him about it. And then Rav Gold brought up this Gemara. He says, look, Reb Zera didn't listen to Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda didn't want him to go to Israel. He didn't listen. So Rabbi Yaakov said to him, and he actually wrote this in his biography, Rabbi Yaakov said to him, Rav Zera had more seichel than you. He didn't ask Rabbi Yehuda. You asked the Lubavitcher Rebbe. But at the end, Rabbi Yaakov gave him a bracha to go to Eretz Yisrael, and of course, many, many moons ago he went to Eretz Yisrael. But that's the point. If you're not ready to hear the answer like Reb Zera, you don't ask. That's number 1. Number 2, always formulate your question before you go and ask. As best as you know the different sides, formulate it. Number 1, because you'll have a clarity. And number 2, so you won't be, you won't be stuttering when you ask the rabbi because you don't have it clear. Have it clear, write it down, especially if it's an important question and it's a little bit complex. Make sure you clarify it for yourself first, and then when you ask the rabbi, he won't feel that you're a nudnik or a nudge. Number 3, it is worthwhile to find if the mentor is flexible on the issue. This is what I spoke about before. Before you ask the question, know if this rabbi is flexible, because you're allowed to do that. We saw Shlomo Zalman Auerbach himself allowed a person to do that. When the person has a great need, he should find out beforehand if the Rav is flexible by speaking to other congregants or other students of the Rav. Number 4, if the mentor is a very busy person, try to be short and to the point when asking. This is something that I personally found when I went to Gedolei Torah. The first times I went to Gedolei Torah, I asked the questions very, very short, right? And as soon as I asked the question, he gave an answer, I left. I asked 1 or 2 questions, I left. So he'd know that I'm not here to nudge him and spend a half hour with him. One of these people was Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, and I learned, I was quite proud of myself because Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach used to answer questions at a certain time in the afternoon, early afternoon, and one time he wasn't home, and his son was living with him. After his father passed away, his son and family were living with Reb Shlomo Zalman, and Reb Shlomo Zalman was not home. I think he said he was at a bris, and I said, so let me ask you the question. And he got a little bit, he said to me, I don't want to answer for my father. So I said, look, I don't always have to nudnik your father. So he said to me, my father told me you're not a nudnik. So I realized at that point, Shlomo Zalman tells him who's the nudnik and who's not the nudnik, right? So this is an important idea. You have to have the question concise and clear, short, to the point when asking, especially if you want to develop that relationship. Because if you start spending a lot of time with the Rav at the beginning, he's going to want to avoid you. That's number 4. Number 5, listen carefully to the answer because there may be subtle points that you need to catch. When you talk about great Rabbanim especially, they don't always say things exactly the way you want to hear them for different reasons, okay? But they'll hint to things. And you have to be there and listen to everything they say. Sichas Chulin Shel Talmid Chacham Tzrichen Limit, the way they speak is very, very important. We see this already in the Talmud. We see it by great Rabbanim. I experienced it myself. And I tell you, a lot of times after I thought about what the Rav was saying, I realized that he didn't want to speak it out completely because it was a sensitive issue, but he let me know what the answer was if you really think about it. So that's important that you listen very carefully to the subtleties of the Rav. Number 6, don't ask questions that make the particular mentor uncomfortable. If the Rav is going to be uncomfortable with it, right, better not ask the question. Now, what could that be? I don't know. You could talk about, paying taxes on a certain thing, right? And the Rav is uncomfortable dealing with those types of issues, tax evasion, in the land of Israel or in America, wherever it may be. There are Rabbanim like my grandfather had no problem telling you it's usher, right? But other Rabbanim were more sensitive to certain issues. If you know the Rav is going to be uncomfortable, go to a different Rav, and that way you could retain that Rav as a mentor, because if he's not comfortable with you, he may sort of distance himself from you. So these are 6 things to remember. And in general, I want to say that I want to encourage everybody here, the men and women, the alumni of Reshachel and Chappelle's, they should find a mentor, because a mentor will give you clarity, a Torah clarity in many issues that you have. Like I said before, think them over by yourself, come there, discuss them with them. I have full confidence in my Chappelle's and Reshachel students that they'll come off being very intelligent when they speak to the Rabbanim about it, and the Rabbanim will be very impressed and want to develop that relationship. Thank you.